Hi guys, it's Steve here from Steve's Small World. I'm doing a bit different this week. As promised a long time back, I'm going to do a quick review of the Figurebitz Mill kit. This is a kit I bought, plain MDF kit, and then I pimped it up a bit. And there's the beauty. So we'll pop that down there. I'll move the camera down so you can see what we're doing, and we'll go through it. See you in a sec. Right, let's have a look. First of all, I'm just going to lift this floor off, just so I don't tip it off. There's a loose ladder in here, comes with ladders. There you go, put that out of the way. So we'll have a look at it. First thing I wanted to do was break up this base. This base is plain piece of MDF with lug holes in it. You can see them there for all the bits to fit into. I thought, nope, don't like it. Let's get some texture in it. So these tiles are actually just thin cork. It's literally a layer of cork I ripped off an old notice board and cut into squares, stuck it down, and then used sterling mud, or my equivalent of sterling mud, to fill it all in. It's all painted, dry brushed, etc. I did a couple of bits of flock just to break it up, little bits of moss and stuff growing, just to get away from so much grey and brown. Issue I had when it dried, it warped like anything, the dreaded warp. Right, so how did I get around this? Well, I used a technique I used previously on a little foam core build I did, and it just turned into a soup bowl when I used a foam core base. Thought, right, okay, so I coated the underside with PVA, cut a piece of acetate and used packing plastic, pushed it on, stuck it down the table, shoved it underweight, went away, had a cup of tea. Right, oh, well, a long cup of tea. Give it a day to dry so it's nice and dry, and I found it gone dead flat. If it needed a little bit of bend, you can just give it a little bit of bend and it's fine. Treat it with a bit of respect, you don't snap it, but it's absolutely fine. So I've done that. Then obviously I built the bottom room. When I did the room, the doors are plain MDF. I thought, nah, don't like that. So let's pimp this up a bit. So I've cut some thin wood, stuck it on the doors here, just to add a bit more texture to it. So you actually got like planks. Did the little wall, this wall first, the very wall against the edge of the building. This is just foam core and blocks cut in. I built this piece up at this stage anyway to put to one side. The end's a separate piece. This wall along, let's turn it so you can see, this wall along here, foam core, stripped it off one side, cut the slots for the wood to go in between, pushed it all in. And we'll come back to this in a little bit. We'll go through the main build because this went on pretty much at the end. Right, the panelling, as I built the kit up, I thought, right, let's get some nice texture into these panels. So I actually used polyfiller spackle. Started by filling them one at a time and pushing it all in. It's like, oh, this is going to take forever. So in the end, I put a dollop in most of them. Got a piece of card, went over the top, just dragged it and filled most of it in, gave it a little push where it needed. Got a wet paintbrush, and that helps smooth this out and push it in. And because it's obviously the filler was slightly wet from the water from the brush, it actually flowed better, so you didn't get brush marks. Obviously some of this would have gone on the wood. Then I gave that a little sand over to take it off the wood. Any hard lumps I just took off with a scalpel to start with. That actually generated dust, wood dust obviously, and some of that got into the filler. To be honest, it actually coloured it up quite nicely, so that worked quite well. I then hit these panels around the edges with a very thin down watery brown wash, just to break it up. If I ended up with any little dots when I painted the wood afterwards, because I literally just painted these up, if any dots hit the panels, one, you could blend it out with some water at the time, add more into the colouring, or just got a little bit of off-white paint and touched it in. It worked fine. Right, so we move on to the next floor. Straight kit, painted the inside. That was just done with house emulsion. A little wash around the top to dirty it up. Same with the doors here. Stairs, chipped these up with a scalpel. I actually snapped a run on the stairs. Don't you see it? By accident when I put them together. I thought, oh dear, and then no, I just put a little bit of PVA in to stick the banister to get back together, took this piece out, chipped up the staircase, went with it. Looks better for it. The main thing I find with laser cut is it's just too sharp. Everything is just too perfect. When have you ever seen an old building that's perfect? So a lot of edges I've chipped up and done that. So we move on up to the next floor. Same principle again, all painted up, filled the panels. Comes with actually tile cuts design roof. I thought, nah, I fancy thatched. Let's have a go at that. So I went out and shot a teddy. No, actually, only joking. Went and got some fake fur, cut it into 1-inch strips. Trick when you cut fur is fold the actual fur back, so you're cutting the base material, so you don't end up with fibres everywhere, and it's a lot tighter, it blends a lot better when you actually put it down. So I wanted to get a ripple to this roof just to break up a flat thatch. So actually there's a couple of coffee stirrers under here, glued them down, clamped them, let it dry. So I worked my way up, first strip, second strip, slightly overlaps, left the top, done the same the other side, then done the middle. Brushed it all down with a toothbrush first of all to get in the right place, and you'll be pulling fibres out your brush as you go. And then mixed up some PVA, a bit of water, some brown paint, and just literally brushed through it with a toothbrush and gradually built the texture up that way. Let that dry, it gets quite firm, and then give it a dry brush, highlight it up to what you fancy. The roof is actually hinged because the fabric goes over, so it works as quite a nice hinge, so you can still get figures into the top if you want to. And we'll put that out of the way a minute. And a quick look at the water wheel section. Right, the water wheel. Base water is Woodland Scenic Still Water. This is literally hot glue that I coated over with some Mod Podge, and I actually put glass in it, ground glass. That actually works better for frozen water. I probably wouldn't do it that way again. This was really the first time playing with water effects except for the fountain. So when I did from the fountain, it works great, you get the sparkle from the glass, etc. Didn't overly work well here, but afterwards, some things I learnt from there, I did this one, which is a lot better way of doing it. Very similar principle with hot glue. Piece of cling film, glue smeared down, dry brushed, and then a coat of resin over the top to smooth it out a bit. Looks a lot better. And then did some active water. We'll go through all this on a separate video at some point. So let's just pop that there and have a proper look at it together. Just find the lugs, there you go. Right, a mill. That kit is 15 quid. Can't argue. 15 quid. Dirt cheap. So I loved it from the point of view I could actually take it as a base to work from instead of cutting all these bits of wood, etc. or building it and then cutting the beams separate. Saved a lot of time in some ways. Still a lot of time went into it to do all this panel work, but I think it paid off. I highly recommend it. I would say check out the Figurebitz site, plenty of stuff there. Great dungeon kit, which we'll be reviewing in the future. That is a lot of kit in the dungeon kit for your money, I must say. So, right, I'll put the camera up and we'll tie up. Right, there you have it. The Figurebitz Mill kit. Worth every penny of it's 15 quid. If I review anything, it will be reviewed honestly. The things I don't like, I will tell you. Can I give any dislikes to this? Breaking out of a panel is a bit of a pain. Same for any MDF kit. You still get it with the foreground stuff, so even the high-end kit, expensive kits have the same issues. It's worth looking at it before you try and break it out. Do I want to just cut that lug a little bit with a scalpel or a sharp X-Acto knife beforehand just to make it easier? Sand them down if they need it before you start assembling it. When you're looking at the kit and assembling it, you think, well, I've got to paint that bit. How am I going to get at it? Do I paint it first and then put it on? Try and think yourself ahead of yourself so you don't get stuck and you try to get brushes into places they don't go and you're bludgeon paint here, there and everywhere. And you're playing MDF kits. Look at them. Think. Don't go, oh, that's a bit boring. Look and go, right, if I use that as a base, what can I do with that? How far can I take it? How far do you want to take it? Do you want to put lights in it? You can do anything you want. Well, this one I'll be using for Frostgrave, hopefully D&D once I get things sorted. But I would say go check out the Figurebitz Facebook page. Have a look. Great stuff there. Very, very reasonable priced. If you want a kit just to start as a base, as I said, and build from, do a bit of crafting on top of, that's a place to go. Right, if this video has been useful to you, please give us a thumbs up. If you want to see any future videos, please hit subscribe and you get your notifications. Any comments or things you want to see, anything I need to go into more depth, let me know. And I will see you next week. Right, take care, have a good one. Cheers.